Before the covers, there was the interview. In this oral history, Grace Coddington, Phyllis Posnick, Norman Jean Roy, and other Vogue insiders take us back to their first encounter with Anna Wintour. They might not remember what they said, but ask them what they wore, every single detail. The Olivier Theyskens skirt they couldn't afford, the Target top that had to pass for designer, the Manolos they borrowed from the closet. When you're about to meet Anna, you don't just prepare your answers. You prepare your look. As Anna turns the page, they remember how their stories began with that first interview. Everyone remembers their first time with Anna.
She asked me who my favorite magazine writer was. And this is a time, I'm like 24. I wasn't looking at bylines, but I said Anna Quindlen, who wrote an article at the end of every Newsweek. And Anna goes, well, she's an essayist. Which is not wrong. And then I was asked if I read The New Yorker and who I liked at The New Yorker. And my mind went fully blank, but I had been to a wedding 2 weeks prior where I had danced with the poetry editor at the time named Alice Quinn. And so I said, Alice Quinn, and she goes, she's a poet.
They said to me, you need to meet Anna. First question is, what are you going to wear? I went to Bergdorf Goodman and spent money I didn't have and bought an Olivier Theyskens black skirt. I still have it. And a kind of rust-colored turtleneck. Someone said,
Color.
Black. And these Pierre Hardy kitten heels that I had bought in Paris. And my friend loaned me her coat. And I think it went well. I got the job.
Sometimes people are concerned when someone new comes in that they're going to change up the staff. Was it because of your relationship with Alex Lieberman that you knew you were safe?
No, I didn't feel safe at all. Anna interviewed me in an office at Hassan Garden, and she said, now, what do you do? So I was explaining what I did day to day, and I got to the point where I said, and I think I've got the run-throughs down to an hour. And she laughed because she had to sit through those endless.
Right, so she knew.
Yeah. So that was the end of that. You know, when she didn't know me, I think Alex encouraged her to try me out. And we got along. And she was very helpful and very supportive.
Did any other big changes happen, even staff-wise?
Oh, huge.
Vogue was looking for a theater writer. And I think they assumed that because my father had written for the theater, that this must be a guy who knows everything about theater. I hadn't been planning to make that what I wrote about, but I was offered it.
So you go into Vogue and you meet Anna, and what was that like?
Well, it was strange. My father had died like a few days before.
Oh, wow.
There was two upsides. One was that I had just gotten a nice new suit for his memorial. So I had a nice Prada suit to wear to my interview with Anna. And I think I was able to be less articulate than I needed to be because my father had just died. So I think she cut me a lot of slack. I don't remember much else about the interview just because I really was in a fog, but I wasn't as nervous as I might have been.
It was Grace who said to Anna, you should consider Tonne. Because, I mean, that's who Anna would go to, the know-it-all. And Grace said, why don't you bring Tonne in here and talk to her? And I remember it very clearly because I was out in Long Island with the kids and I, put on my pencil skirt, my fishnet stockings. I don't know if you remember what I was wearing, but I do. And I came and I talked to Anna. And I think that she offered me the job then and there.
When she came to British Vogue, she came with the idea to change it.
So what were you thinking was going to happen?
I didn't know what those changes were because I hadn't experienced everything in America. I think they felt that they could sharpen up on the business side a lot, Beatrix was very charming and everything was done through charm. We all got in at midday,
right,
et cetera, et cetera. It was loose, but we got our work done. We were told to be in at 9 o'clock, and then, of course, she didn't like all these flat shoes, and because it was also the time of the miniskirt coming, and all of us in England, we were all wearing Romeo Gilly, sort of long, soft, comme des garçons clothes like that, and black.
Okay, so did she actually say, I want everyone to change?
She let, the way she dressed herself was very short. And then she, the clothes you brought in to photograph, she would make you have them all shortened to above the knee. It was a kind of running joke that you can use that skirt, but you have to shorten it to above the knee.
I remember my first day, the HR woman, Bucky Keaty, said to me, "Can you wear skinny heels when you start?" And I had no idea what that meant. And when Andre came over, he saw the heels and he goes, "What are those tree trunk heels?" And I know, like, what are skinny heels except a stiletto? But I quickly learned Manolo Blahnik, and, of course I couldn't afford that.
I remember exactly what I wore. I wore a Jill Stewart top and skirt, and then I worked in the accessories department at Harper's, and they loaned me a pair of Jimmy Choo pumps. My skirt was like dark navy, and my shirt was like a button down, and it was black. That's what I wore. I don't have it still. I wish I did, but I don't. I don't even remember my interview with Anna that well, except for you warned me that she was going to ask me what book I was reading.
Right.
But that's really all I remember. What I do remember is when they offered me the job and they said that the start time was 7:30, I was like, I don't think I can take this job, because I was just basically out of college and I didn't think I could wake up that early and commit to it like long term. But then my parents were like, "You're taking the job."
Everyone remembers their first time meeting her, or they have PTSD and it's all a blur. But most people remember what they wore, exactly the conversation. I do. It's really interesting.
I remember the first time I met Anna, for sure. I mean, I know which cartel chair it was, and it was back in the
Four Times Square.
Yeah. And I remember that office like it was yesterday. I remember the pen picture. It's clear as day. I think in hindsight, for me, if there's any regret from that time in my life, and certainly my contract days, is I just really, truly lacked the maturity to understand the scale of the opportunity. If I was given that opportunity today again, it would be different.
The meeting with Anna, I remember a lot.
Did you really answer her question of what you want to do in 10 years by saying you want to be editor-in-chief of Vogue?
Yeah, I did. I think I said more along the lines of like, "I want your job. I want to be the editor-in-chief of Vogue." And she it was a little chuckle, and it wasn't really a chuckle. It was like a little upturned smile. And I thought it was a cheeky way to respond, because I mostly really didn't think I was going to get the job. I think I can imagine that what got me the job was that interview with Anna.
Do you remember what you wore?
Oh, yeah. Well, just like you were told to wear skinny heels. I was told to wear florals, which I knew she was obsessed with florals. Like, I knew that from what the magazine looked like, and also like how she...
I think to say don't wear black, but floral?
Wear floral. In the spring/summer that I did the interview. And I was like, okay, fuck, I don't own anything floral. And at the same time as contending with being dead broke, I was also contending with being plus size. So I couldn't even just pull from the closet. That was
right.
Fashion girls used to like really rally around people they wanted to get promoted or whatever. And you'd go into the closet and they'd lend you a pair of Manolos and you could pull something off of the racks. So I remember going to Target because at the time they had a collaboration with Peter Pilotto, which was all about prints and color. And I found one top that fit me. And I only had black pants or jeans. So I ended up wearing black pants. And I forced my size 42 foot into a size 40 Manolo from that closet. And I hobbled in. I prepared my look. And I knew that she was going to ask me what I wanted to do and also what I did in my free time. And I'm pretty sure I like emotionally blacked out during that interview because I can barely remember. I really remember it being very short, like too short. It was like 7 minutes or something maximum.
She asked me who my favorite writer for the magazine was, and I said Jeffrey Steingarten. At the time, Jeffrey was the food critic at Vogue. He would write about like caviar, but somehow it would be very approachable. Clearly, I had passed the test. I remember what I wore in my interview. I bought a new Balenciaga by Nicolas Ghesquière suit in gray. I still feel like a boss in it.
Because of the timing of my job interview process, which was spring 2021, not even a full year after the pandemic started, I had the advantage of my first interview with Anna being over Zoom.
Oh,
and
that's
I
so
was
much
still,
better.
Oh my God. Yeah. And when I went for the first in-person interview, that was still an intimidating
Of
experience
course.
for sure. And I do remember I wore a pink floral Kate Spade dress, and we really hit it off straight away. I feel like one of the most underrated qualities of Anna's is her sense of humor. Like,
It's the best.
She has this very dry, very British
her
sense of humor.
one-liners.
My first meeting with her, I walked into her office and there was that kind of easel thing set up where there was like 6 or 7 different cover options for the same picture. It was Ivana Trump. Her first words to me were, "Sorry, we stooped a little low this month for cover sales." That's what she said. We stooped a little low. And I was like, I'm going to love this person.
She takes her glasses off, very firm handshake, sits down, tells me that I can do so, and looks at my resume. And I did get the up and down look. And she said, "A lot of people want to know what's happening at Vogue. Can you keep your mouth shut?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am."
Okay, that's our show. Thanks for listening to Going Rogue. And be sure to like and subscribe. Today's show is produced by me and Maddie Rosenberg at Radio Free Rhinecliff with assistance from Maddie Kelly. Special thanks to David Vo for our great graphics and Taras Romanov for our epic theme music.